Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Live Louder show. My dad will hop on here when he feels like it. I guess I could just take over the show at this point since I'm going to put him out of business one day. So make it the.
Nicely done, young Padawan. Nicely done. You got to say that with a little bit more inflection, though. I mean, I'm teaching you. You're young. You're an intern. You're training. But with the truest conviction, folks, I'm here at the Live Louder podcast because I feel like being here when I wanted to get here, which is usually around 8:45 every morning. Hope you guys are doing well. If it's the morning time for you, if it's the afternoon, if it's the evening for you, then thank you and praise the Lord. We're here once again. We could have been somewhere else. We could have been in the grave. Although that would take us to our eternal felicity. But folks, if you're watching the Live Louder podcast today, because the topic that we're getting into today, the newsboys, lawsuits, dirty, dark side of the Christian music industry, and Tom Golly. And I want to welcome you to the show today. You are welcome to ride the train. Let's ride, baby.
I'm on go mode, no sleep. Chasing what they said I couldn't reach. Fuel in my veins, push, repeat. Vision so bright, got me feeling complete.
Young Padawan. I'm talking to you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. What do we need to do for the folks to authenticate this show?
Like and subscribe.
You got to speak up. Folks can't hear you.
So they need to like and subscribe.
No, that does nothing for me. I don't care if they like and subscribe. I can give a rip if they like and subscribe. In fact, I don't even care if you like this show. Rage watch it if you want to. The Dolphins, young lady. People need authentication to know that this is really me and not somebody else. Check it out.
Oh, that's I forgot you did the Dolphins.
Oh, don't forget about the Dolphins. Your other device that you have that is playing right now, you may want to put one in one ear, one in the other. I don't know exactly how we're going to do this. We're still working it out. But thank you for joining the show, young Padawan. This is the young graduate intern that we have now who lives in our house, who did a fantastic job yesterday on the hip hop scene. It was great.
You're welcome.
What announcements do we have for the people today? Don't say like and subscribe.
We have a special guest coming on later.
The special guest is Tom Golly.
Yes, Mr. Tom Golly.
Wink, wink. There's an even more special announcement. I didn't prep her for the show on this, so she's
No,
totally.
you didn't prep me for
she's-
all these
she's
announcements.
totally-
You kind of just threw me out there. It's like,
Yeah,
here's the
yeah. She's on
announcement.
the. She's walking on the wire. Look, Mom, no hands and no wires attached. But here's my announcement to everybody who's watching this show: tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell yourself, tell your wife, tell your children, tell everybody this. Look in the mirror and tell yourself this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus is no longer here. He gone.
Just thought you guys needed to know. We serve a risen Savior. He's in the world today. All right, Newton. Newton to the ones and twos. You ready to see Newton? Do you know who Newton is? Can you hear me? Talking to you,
Yes.
young Padawan.
I'm a little bit delayed. Sorry.
Do you know who Newton is?
Yes, I can hear.
So between the two of you, we should have a show that makes some sense for the people that are out there. All right, let me get these tags out of the way. Stop messing with my daughter. All right, folks, it's a copyright disclaimer of 1976. It is section 107. It allows fair use because I'm going to be using some non-proprietary material. And so all the allegations, so to speak, that people are making out there, claims that are being made, if you want to sue me, that's fine, but you'll have to sue everybody else that's made these claims. And so have fun trying to sue everybody. This is fair use for educational purposes. All right, let's get to prayer. Oh, yeah. Now is your time for like and subscribe, folks. What do they need to do?
Like and subscribe.
So cute. Such a brilliant smile. Booker T. Washington approves.
Now it's time to live louder.
Look at that. All these black folk up on here today. We doing well. We doing well in this world today. All right, folks. I'm going to stop messing around here in just a second, but y'all know I use the first part of my show to absolutely say nothing of value so that when I get to the part where I'm actually doubling down, hopefully the fakes, the criminals, the crooks, and the frauds will have all lost interest, because people can't really hold their attention more than 10 seconds, can they? Come on, let's go. Anyway, when we get to prayer, get to a short devotion, a short but meaningless devotion. I'm going to be talking about can you lose your salvation in about 5 minutes, and then we're going to get our guest on. All right, let's pray. Actually, do you want to lead the prayer today? Or not? Maybe she's frozen in time.
I can if you want me to.
Please.
All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this amazing, wonderful day. I pray that as we get into this devotion, that our hearts and eyes would be open to what Dad is going to be telling us. I pray that we have a good show today and we have a great time with our special guest later. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, let's get to it today. John chapter 10. I'm reading from the ESV because you guys know I left my Bible in Litchfield, Illinois a couple weeks ago. Illinois. And so here's Jesus describing the relationship that he has. I and the Father are one in John chapter 10. John, I don't know if y'all have read John, but we got these Pocket New Testament League books of John that I'm passing out to everybody. And those things are amazing. Just from the Gospel of John, people just reading this and like, oh man, I gotta do something about believing in Jesus. But in John chapter 10, he's talking about I and the Father are one, eternal life. And he says in verse 27, you've heard this verse before, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish, and no one will snatch them from my hand. No one will snatch them from my hand. You see, folks, you're looking at a guy who honestly believes this is not contrived. I'm not doing this for ratings. Sometimes there's people who watch this, sometimes there's people who don't watch this. It doesn't make any difference. I turn the camera on and let the Lord do what he's going to do with his show, with his people. Let my people go. So all that to just simply say this. You're looking at a guy who honestly believes the Lord's work in salvation is not synergistic, meaning I contribute a little bit to salvation. The Lord contributes a little bit to salvation. We kind of work it out along the way. I know that's overly simplistic for folks, but I'm not contributing anything to this redemptive work of salvation. The redemptive work of salvation. It is the Lord himself who arranges the circumstances and details that would either, I could have perished, I could have been gone, I could have been lost to perdition, I could have been damned to hell, damned. But the Lord protected me as in a cocoon with people around me. You know my testimony, you know my story. And then at such a time as there were people who were making deposits of the word of God and faith and living examples of faith in my life, you know, at such a time, the Lord chose to regenerate my heart, a la John chapter 3. A man be born again. I was born again. And as a result of that, the faculties of my life opened up and I trusted Jesus, not because I had a better idea, a better plan, because I'd worked my way, because I'd been good at school that day. No, the Lord enabled me to exercise faith. So you're talking to a man who, when I hear about the Lord's call in a person's life, a call that I responded to, it wasn't because of any goodness inherent in me. It wasn't because of any work that I did. It wasn't because of any prescribed work that my family had done or that other people had done on my behalf. You're talking to a man, or at least listening to a man, who believes, I honestly believe that call and the capturing that the Lord has in my life, and I don't look at that as bondage, it's freedom capturing, honestly understands that to be a work of salvation in which the Lord will take me through the valleys and the mountains. And even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You will take me all the way to the eternal glory. You will take me there. Not every day is going to be perfect. I will work out my salvation with fear and trembling, but no one will snatch me from the Father and draw me down into hell. So I'm actively listening to folks like Wes Huff, who when he comes and he's asked a question about can a person lose their salvation, when he gives this answer, I give full assent to the answer that he gave. And young Padawan, I know you're listening right now. Just listen to what Wes Huff has to say here for our brief and quick devotion today.
This was not the answer she was expecting.
What's your perspective on whether or not a Christian can lose salvation?
I would say ultimately what we see within the testimony of Scripture is that if someone truly has had, in the language of salvation that we see in the Bible, their heart of stone removed, they're given a heart of flesh, they're empowered by the Spirit. And we look at something like John chapter 6, where Jesus says, all the Father gives to me, I will raise up on the last day, and no one can snatch them from my Father's hand. It is impossible for a true, genuine believer to lose their salvation. That doesn't mean that there aren't people who have like profound experiences where they think that they are born again, and then maybe later in their life they backtrack on that or something like that. I mean, the parable of the seed and the sowers communicates this. There are people that are going to fall on rocky ground. They're going to have the shoots of the root in the shallow ground, but then as the winds and the rain come, they're not going to survive. I'm just not convinced that you can be made a new creation in Christ and then undo that.
This was not.
All right. Quick story, and then young Padawan. Curious to know what your thoughts are. I went to college at East Tennessee State University. I won't say the professor's name. I'm pretty sure she's not still a professor there. Very liberal, very feminist, very anti whatever has to do with organized evangelical belief. And I started meeting with her during her office hours because, one, I was trying to convert her to Christianity, and two, she recognized that I was trying to convert her to Christianity. And we talk about class stuff in there that she had said that I just thought was absolutely goofy. And so we started entertaining office hours, and she gave me this book by Bishop Shelby Spong. And it was about fundamentalists and, you know, just lies, debunking fundamentalism and all manner of things like that. And so we're actively trying to convert one another. And I'll never forget, in one of our early meetings, she says to me, Erskin, do you realize that I used to be the president of the Baptist Student Union at the university that I went to in my undergrad? And then I went to Purdue University and got my doctorate and all the different things, accolades that she had received after that. And I said, no, I didn't know that. And so her vantage point was, man, that's great that you have this young college passion, but just learn a little bit more, grow a little bit more, enlighten your mind a little bit more, think outside of the box a little bit more, and you won't be so tied to this. Jesus is the only way of salvation. Following Jesus is the way of life, is the highest priority of life, and all these different things that she was not at all committed to. And so our conversations took an interesting turn because I brought up this same thing that Wes Huff is talking about. Is it possible that a person could have a young life experience with Jesus and around the people of Jesus and the things of Jesus, I would say, not actually have encountered Jesus, but be in the culture of Jesus followers and believe themselves in a deceptive way to have actually been saved, and then go about telling people that they're saved, go about doing the actions of people who were in that particular culture, who had framed out for you, go to church on Sunday, you speak a certain way, you dress a certain way, you do a certain thing, and then follow the pattern of that culture in such a way that then when they really begin to experience the travails of life, they really begin to experience the struggles of life, Satan really began to draw out the fallen nature that was within them. Then they look at the things that they had done with Christian believers, pause and say, well, I guess I don't want that. Does that mean they lost their salvation, or does it mean that they never had salvation? Young Padawan, what say ye? And I know there's a little bit of delay.
Yeah. I do agree with his statement. We've actually had this conversation a lot in class as of recently within reading
Not
Mere
anymore. Now
Christianity
that you
in our
graduated, we'll be having that conversation.
classroom. But I do agree. Well, yeah, I graduated, so yeah, we don't have those conversations anymore. We still do over text messages or different things like that. But I do agree that there's, as a like true believer, as he was saying, if you are a true believer, your heart has become a heart of flesh and not a heart of stone. Yes, you'll have days where you'll walk away from God, but you aren't too far that the Lord is going to be like, no, I'm not going to take you anymore because you've turned away from me, because his mercies renew every morning. And so he's just waiting for you to come back to him. And it is one of those hard topics because, you know, you can get into all the aspects of, okay, if God's a loving God, then how come, you know, he can not take these people and not take these people, or different things like that. And there's so much that goes into it. But I do agree that if you are a true believer that is following the Lord and is trying to follow the Lord with your whole heart, even if you do walk away, there's no way you can lose your salvation.
So I would ask our audience, and I would ask you, I would ask everybody this question. Today, my friends, what makes you think you are saved and a child of God? America has borrowed way too much capital from revivalistic and cultural entrapments of Christianity. In the South, especially, in other places, just the vestiges of, you know, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all of those institutions used to be Christian institutions. Belmont University used to be a Christian institution. And I say that poking the bear. Belmont University used to be a Christian institution. I'll deal with it later. And so there's a lot of Christian things. There's little Jesuses out there for you folks. Somebody cleaned out her room and gave me a lot of little Jesuses. And I guess I'm tasked with being the guy who's throwing Jesus away. But anyway, there's a lot of people who think that they're Christians because they grew up with the entrapment of Christianity around them. And so my question to you would be, what makes you think that you're a Christian? I would undeniably answer that question in the same way that Peter in the Caesarea Philippi confession says, some say you're the Christ, some say that you're John the Baptist, Moses, Elijah, all these different suppositions as to who do you say that I am? Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And beyond that, I don't know where else I would go. If Jesus told me, look, I don't want you to be saved, go away and go live a life of perdition and go to hell and go to clubs and drink yourself to death and do all the different things, just go. I would be like a little puppy. I would still follow Jesus. If he's like, no, just go away from me, then I would look around and I would just take one step closer. I'm following Jesus no matter what. And so that's the posture of somebody who's not going to be shaken by financial woe. They're not going to be shaken by circumstance. They're not going to be shaken by temptation, because the temptation will end up to be testing, and the testing will prove endurance, and the endurance will strengthen the faith. So we've got a guest today. Young Padawan, you did a fantastic job. We just deal with light topics. Like, can you lose your salvation? If you really have salvation, then you'll have salvation. And don't worry, put on the armor of God. That faith that you say that you have will get tested. Jesus said in John chapter 16, verse 33, in this world, you will have trouble. Thalipsis, violent upheaval, overturn. There's going to be chaos and calamity in your life. You will have trouble, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. I mean, yeah, no one's going to snatch me from the hand of Jesus. All right. All right, we got a guest here. He's looking all buffed up and everything now. He's been lifting weights and he's been doing push-ups since about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm kind of scared to mess with this guy. Y'all don't want to mess with Tom Golly. You know what? We're not even doing Erskin music at this point. Young Padawan, you just sit in the wings. You and Newton. You guys listen to the show, and this is going to be a banger. And so our special guest today is Tom Golly. We're done with the devotion today. He's over here drinking protein shakes and doing push-ups. He doesn't know that I have my protein shake as well. So without further ado, let's get to our top story today. It's Tom Golly. See you later, Padawan. Oh, you didn't realize I have my protein shake as well.
Yeah, so you have a Padawan. That does that make me like Darth Golly today? Is that what we're doing?
If you want to go that direction, if you want to go that direction,
even at my best, people still sometimes, see me as the villain. You know what I mean? Like I like one of my next tattoos is literally a quote from a Batman movie, which is going to be, so you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Oh, I remember that one. That's the Heath Ledger one?
Yeah, and that's probably like almost every relationship I've ever had with any person in this world. Is I'm the hero long enough to just eventually wear out my welcome or usefulness, and then boom, you're just sort of the villain in the story, But
well,
I digress, man. We're here talk about the fun things, and I'm here to run my mouth and probably get told that I'm lying, or that I need prayer, which I probably do, but I'm just gonna tell the truth, man, about what I know, what I've seen, because
okay,
I think people deserve to know, or at least be given to tools to go, like, there's more here than you think. So that's where I'm at, man.
Well, before we jump into any of that, you look good, man. I just want to let you know, I'm really proud of you. You've been working hard. Sun's out, guns out, kind of effect you got going on over there.
That's right.
And so I appreciate. I was at the YMCA today. Margaret Maddox, y'all can come at 7 o'clock on Wednesdays and get this spin class work. We did a FTP today, which is functional threshold performance. 8 minutes of just kill yourself. And I thought, this is interesting that I find myself at a place in life where people could look at the activity level and they could say he's literally trying to kill himself. Doesn't he have a wife and kids and family and things that he has to do today? But that hard work, bro, hard work, it pays off.
I'm gonna tell you right now, though, that here's the hack, the trick. If we're gonna talk about this, the trick is that you don't have to do that at all.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like that, and it's the craziest thing. I kid you not, because when I was young, I played hockey all the time. I was active. I have good genetics. I'd work out, but I worked out too much. And the thing is that what people don't realize is you get most of your gains when you sleep,
Mm-hmm.
when you rest. So it's kind of like these people who do go to the gym every day, 5 days a week, and they're doing like 6 exercises and going crazy. They're not giving their body a chance to heal, and they are killing themselves for nothing. It's like, it's like trying to dig, it's trying to dig out of an avalanche that's still falling on you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's silliness. But
So, yeah, word be told, my workout yesterday, and I was telling one of the guys this morning, my workout yesterday was I got in the pool.
there you
And
go.
I did, a little bit of flipper workouts there, a little running in place in the pool. And it just, my workout tomorrow will be in the pool.
Dude, man, you work out in the water like that, like you work out muscles you didn't even know you had, man.
Mhm.
I mean, though it's funny, right? Because, man, this just kind of reminds me of like a toxic church I went to years ago. And, we had this kid, Danny, who went through a lot, and he just decided, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to slay my body, and I love the concept of his idea was, I want to master my body. I want to show my body I own it, and he became like just super disciplined, working his tail off. And then, of course, you had a pastor always be like, the pastor would be to him, well, what good is training your body if, you're not strong in spirit? And, or what if you worshiped as hard as you work out? Like, dude, shut up. Shut up.
His pastor told him that?
Oh, yeah. That dude, I think here's the thing. What I've come to learn in life is people who do toxic and evil things aren't often aware. You know what I mean? And like,
Okay.
Unfortunately, at that time, I was trying my best to, go along, get along. So I never said anything. At that point, I was one of the lemmings that, like, pastor says it must be true. Pastor says it, amen. Woo! I blindly followed, bro. I was definitely there and realized what a mistake that is.
All right. Well, I appreciate the new and improved Tom Golly. What are we, 2.0, 3.0?
So that's a funny thing you say, because, man, I'm actually thinking about writing a book. And most of it's just literally my memoirs of my life. And it's like, if I go through different spots in my life, different decades, different phases, like I guess to say I've I've reinvented myself so many times. And it's so, like, if I write a book, I think it's going to be called, like, Born Again and Again and Again and Again.
And again and again.
I mean,
and again.
that's pretty much it, man. Like, it's funny, man. Like, I'll look at Facebook, get like today, actually, I was looking at Facebook memories, it's like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's like, I don't even know who that guy is. I don't know who that is. Like, I know it looks like me, but that ain't me. Like, I wouldn't write that. I wouldn't write that. God, what am I wearing? So it's just an interesting thing how we evolve and change if we let
Absolutely. I mean, this song is a banger, but I look at my hair and what I was wearing and kind of what I was doing. I'm like, ooh. So you know what? We gotta change it up every once in a while. Change it up. Uh-oh. Where's my audio? Where's my audio for Tom Golly? Check. Oh, it says you muted yourself.
I did no such thing, but I was able to unmute.
I'm like, unmute, because I want to hear every word that he has to say here. And it says he's
No,
muted.
I think your hair was like that when we first met. I don't
It
remember.
was.
Yeah.
And so you look at those hair iterations and those clothes and styles and different things. It's like, okay, all right, well, let's do this. Anyway, we got to jump into this today because
do it.
I'm honored to have you on the show. And if people didn't know that we're friends, I'm going to go ahead and announce this publicly. Tom Golly and I are friends, despite what
Are we
you may
friends
have
or are
seen.
we like frenemies?
Well, the best part of friendship is that friends can sharpen one another, challenge one another. And I tell people when I'm describing you, I'm like, yeah, Tom Golly and we're friends, but we fight like brothers.
Oh yeah.
Which in a way is kind of how it should be.
Well, because you know what? See, we're adults. We're also not trying to be like Gen Z and Gen or whatever these are. So, like, dude, I'm happy to tell you what I think or what I feel or what I believe.
Yep.
And you're good to leave me there at that. Like, all right, cool, man. Happy to listen.
I give you plenty of material to respond to.
You know what I mean? And like, I'm not going to work hard to convince you, nor am I going to think less of you because you think completely different than me in some areas. And it's kind of fun because I feel like we can poke at each other a little bit, knowing like this might bug him a little bit, but he knows I'm just trying to make him laugh or whatever. And I think we do that well with each other,
Sure. And I appreciate that. But this is something that strikes near and dear to my heart. I don't know how much of a emotional drain this is on you, but I was talking with somebody this morning, actually my spin instructor, and I was saying she's not a believer. And she was asking me, what are you talking about today on my show? And I almost didn't want to tell her, but I was like, she asked. And so I'm just going to put it out there. And it was kind of like this look of, in Christian music, there's all of these lawsuits that are going on and sexual indiscretions that are going on. And look, we're people. There's a lot of things that are going on, but I didn't want to talk about the nitty gritty, dirty stuff that's out there. I want to present Christianity in a particular light, but I guess that's why you're on the show today, because we got to deal with what is, and talk through that today. And
that's the dichotomy, bro. And that's the thing that, always bugged me about it is like, there is things that I feel like people need to know and always did, but you're right. It's kind of like, well, if people knew about, it's kind of like, the best analogy was somebody once said to me, it's kind of like farming, right? Like if you love farming, right, there's going to be some things about it that you hate. But when you tell other people about how great farming is, you don't lead with, well, man, you're going to walk in cow poop every day and machines are going to break down and they're expensive. Yes. And, prices are going to drop and you know what I mean? Like, no, you're not going to talk about that.
Famine, pestilence.
Right. But I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like, when we're talking about salvation, we're talking about souls, we're talking about the kingdom of God. Like, I feel like, we have to let people know. I mean, we can't just keep being vague. Like the waters will sweep over you. Like the Bible talks about, like, you'll have challenges. Like, great. What are they? Wolves in sheep's clothing. What's that? What's that look like? You know what I mean? It's like, just, if they've never seen the ocean, they're not going to be like, I got to be careful. I don't drown, but I don't know what the ocean looks like, So I do feel like there's this dichotomy of what's the right way. And I know for me, I feel like, new believers, no, I don't think we need to be like, oh, this is evil. I think more it's like, I think it's the people who have, all right, now you're in this thing. Now it's time for you to really know. Just know what you're seeing happening. Understand. Like for me, it's always like, do you guys not see the psychological tactics taking place here in this ministry event or in this ministry marketing or in this church service or during this concert? And it's like, I don't know. For me, it's one of those things where it's like those tactics aren't inherently bad unless you constantly talk about how, like, or not you, but the Christians will talk about, being righteous, being, holy, yet you're using trickery. And, it's like that. Something about that always bugged me.
Well, yeah, let's get into that. I want to watch about 2 minutes of Ruslan, who's kind of frame the conversation for us, and then we can jump off and we can have our own discussion about it. But I think this is a good window into what is going on, starting with a lawsuit, and we'll work our way around.
The owner of the Newsboys issues a lawsuit against almost everybody in the Christian music scene, and not just the Christian music scene, also the Roy's report for the expose piece they did highlighting the craziness of the Michael Tate situation. Okay. This is utterly insane. And I don't think this is going to go well. I think this is more of a tactic to try and silence people from being critical of the newsboys and their potential complicit nature with regards to the Michael Tate situation. Allegedly, I don't know, but $50 million lawsuit. Okay, so this is the newsboys. I didn't know was owned by one particular person, and he has filed a lawsuit against Mercy Me, Christian Tour Promoters, World Vision Charity. That's right, World Vision Charity, and journalists who broke Michael Tate Seg's scandal. The suit accuses dozens of defendants of defamation and antitrust violations. He's basically saying there was a big monopoly within the Christian music industry to keep everybody away from working with the newsboys. That included Mercy Me, World Vision Charity, which a lot of these organizations like World Vision end up sponsoring these tours as charities, and they end up funding a lot of the tours, and he feels like he's being left out and cut out of these situations. Okay, so I don't know the rights of contracts being broken. I don't know any of that, but this is a wild lawsuit to file, right? Selling his business up Christian acts with charitable to subsidized tours, right? And so if you guys didn't know, Michael Tate, who basically fessed up to all the stuff that came out from this bombshell report from the Roy's report. I don't know if he acknowledged any legal wrongdoing, but he did acknowledge that, man, he was struggling with sexuality and struggling with all these things, to his credit, right? He didn't minimize it, and has since stepped down. Again, I don't know if that means that he was guilty of anything illegal, but this stuff came out. Now, this dude is saying that Julie Royce, which we'll hear from in a second, has been defaming him and the journalist. Defaming. Now, defamation is such a high bar to prove, because what you got to prove is you knew that the stuff you were reporting was not true and you still did it intentionally. Okay, that's a very difficult thing to prove with regards to the legality of defamation. It's very.
All right, we're gonna stop that for right now there. Let's jump into this, because you have some personal firsthand understanding of how this machinery and process works, as do I. But let's jump into it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like the timing of all of it, right? So it's like, okay, they're claiming this whole monopoly thing, right? Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. It wasn't like all of a sudden this Roy's report, dropped like after like, oh, it's not like it was like 2 weeks before it dropped, like, hey, we did all this. Like, this was like a year or plus in the making, like the entire thing was well researched, well documented, and there were rumblings amongst, crew of different bands and things, of like, yo, there's this thing that's going to drop and it's probably going to take down the newsboys. And it's like, really? And there had been rumors in the years ago about a documentary that was being filmed to expose the industry and particular people, but that never happened. And so it was like, we'll see. And then all of a sudden you had Tate come out and be like, hey, I'm stepping down. I got to work on myself and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, it's like, boom, here's the Roy's report. And it's like, there it is. So you can't help but wonder if, a monopoly or people going, yo, the sky's going to fall. We got to not do business with them to save ourselves. And that's what they were trying to position themselves to do. So to say, oh, they were monopolizing. No, dude, they knew what was coming. Because here's the thing. The whole Michael Tate stuff, maybe not like the forcing himself on people type thing that he was doing, but like all the other stuff, the sexuality, even the drugs, like, dude, that was common knowledge I moved to Nashville in 2015, and like I'm at a breakfast and I was talking about how, I met Michael Tate the other day, and they're like, oh, and then, all of a sudden things that were rumors were told to me that turned out to be true. And it's like for years, like, yeah, different weird things and it's like, how does this continue to happen?
Well, and I want to say that according to that timing, my friend Jesse Morris, who's been on my show before, broke the report before the Roy's report, from what I understand in the timeline. And so she had been doing research, I believe, for years on specifically the Michael Tate portion of this. And so to your point, it wasn't as though people didn't know this in the music industry. I moved in 2012, 13 to Nashville. And very quickly, in talking with some music executives, came to understand that there's a little bit different thing that's going on. At that point, I think Tate had just finished doing the Tate thing, and I think Toby had gotten him hooked up with the Newsboys, and an opportunity for him to kind of have a 2.0 or 3.0 in his music career, from DC Talk to the Tate thing to now the Newsboys.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of that crossover period. But then I'd been asking some questions about, like, why doesn't Tate speak out more about this or that? And it just kind of seemed that with the platform that he had, why he wasn't more vocal on some of the issues as a Christian representative of the largest Christian music band. And then it started to dawn on me from what people were saying, I don't know that he would be the best representative to come out and speak on specific Christian issues because of some other things that are, supposed in his background, to your point, Tom, that ended up becoming true.
And in his defense,
upon his confession,
in his defense in one area, because like I've heard Mercy Me put it best, like, hey, like Mercy Me does not consider themselves a traditional ministry, and they don't consider what they do worship. They don't even consider, like, he, like Bart talked about one time, he got mad when somebody like who opened for them were like, this is church. And Bart's like, no, it's not. We're not walking with the broken. We're not, we're not feeding the poor.
Yeah.
Like this is an hour and a half of entertainment with the gospel in it. And I think that like guys like Tate understood he's an entertainer, bro, with the gospel in it. He's not, it's not the other way around. It's not the gospel with some entertainment. And I think there's room for that, and that's okay. And I think personally, man, imagine the damage if he did speak out about a lot of things and then turned out, he's none of those things. We find that out in a lot of these pastors.
Yeah.
So credit to him to, at the very least, go knowing his place to a degree, and it's honestly speaking, like it never, here's the weird thing, and people can get mad at me if they want. It never bothered me knowing that, like, okay, this guy, I mean, to me, it was kind of obvious from the first time I ever saw the Newsboys live. I'm like, I don't think that's a straight man. And that it didn't bother me because I don't like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? That's their cross to bear. I don't have a problem with homosexuality. I don't. I mean, whether it's a sin or not, that's not for me to decide or even discuss. I don't want to. But at the end of the day, like, I don't got a problem with that. Like, whatever, man. I mean, I got my stuff too. You know what I mean? And if no sin is worse than the other, then, none of us have a place to do anything. So it is what it is.
We don't have to necessarily be as clear on that because the Bible's been profoundly clear on that subject matter, but we'll keep it rolling.
We can.
And don't be,
But as far as the lawsuit goes, man, it's, to me, it's so stupid, man. Like, I mean, it is what it looks like, in my opinion. It's more of it's a cash grab, because at the end of the day, with those kind of numbers, and that could be one of those cases that would literally be more expensive to fight than it would be to just settle, more than likely. So, like, and the people that can handle it, like the Mercy Me could probably absorb that. I do feel bad for, the Roy's report and all that stuff, because it's like those people are being sued personally and it's stupid. I mean, first of all, when you read the article, there's the words alleged. This person tells this story about this thing that happened. Like, it's so well written that I don't know that there's a case for defamation.
Yeah. A little bit more
difficult, especially because he's a public person. Michael Tate's a public person. Newsboys are a public person. Christian rock band, the Newsboys, and their co-founder, Wes Campbell, have filed a wide-ranging lawsuit in the wake of scandals that brought their career to a halt. The suit alleges a combination of defamation and antitrust violations, going after dozens of defendants, ranging from competing Christian music group Mercy Me to the World Vision charity, along with the top concert promoters in the CCM business and the journalists who have been at the forefront of breaking news about the Newsboys and their disgraced former singer Michael Tate. In this case, Wes Campbell and the four musicians comprising the Christian musical artists known as that. So this is not just Wes, the owners, also the musicians in the Newsboys, which I just think is a terrible look for them. Artists known as their Newsboys, their families and ministries they have dedicated their lives to build have been destroyed by the actions of the defendants, including their publication of defamatory articles fueled by competitors with anti-competitive motives. It seems like he's just throwing the kitchen sink at everybody. And so they put out the statement, Newsboys.
Yeah, there's Jesse Morris. Yeah, Julie Roys and Jessica Morris. Can we talk about the World Vision stuff?
Sure.
Because I think people, I have some reactions and responses to that as a representative of Holt International.
I just want to say one thing, because what he just said was, about like the members of the band and blah, blah, blah. And that little sob story in there. Look, real talk. There's no way those guys didn't know that stuff was awry. There's just no freaking way. It was common knowledge to people who had, who had 5 degrees of separation from the band. You're right up there. You ignored it. You let it go on because the money was there. It was working. What's the worst that could happen? And then the worst happened. And now you're like, we had no idea. We've been victimized. Stop. Just stop. They would have been better off owning it, coming at it a different approach. That might have helped, but this is ridiculous. But yeah, let's talk about the world vision and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, they're also in the lawsuit, and because that is the underbelly and cash cow for a lot of the touring music artists. And there's a representative that will come and recruit artists and connect them with organizations. And there's a kickback for every child that can get sponsored and every good work that can be done, so to speak. Stop the concert, have an emotional appeal, reach in your pocketbooks and save someone's life today.
Yeah. And, look, I just want to say this because I've been misunderstood. I get the business model, and the business model from World Vision and all that standpoint, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? They have a great concept in mind. It's, hey, most of the people who are going to do this are Christians, where we consider ourselves a faith-based organization. So, hey, we could spend a lot of money on advertising and marketing and probably get way less people. But here's an opportunity where we can, yes, give artists money, and we can have all these people that are Christian be in one place, our target market, it all in one place constantly. The business model makes sense based on information people have dug on this. The charities are effective. They do work. They are helping people. Yes. The issue that I've always had with it, and I've been one of the artists, was the fact that the emotional appeals are often clearly just made up stories. I mean, and there are some that are very like, hey, we're here to help kids and this is what we do. If you want to find out more, it's in the back. Like, cool, man. There's no manipulation there. You're just letting people know, hey, we got this thing. We'd love to do it. Cool. But it's the ones that'll they'll pause a show for 20 minutes, give this whole appeal, sometimes even be like, come on, people, this is for the kids. And like, they'll make it like somehow the people are like failing the kids. And meanwhile, they're just like, I need that money. Come on, and I've witnessed this. I've watched this. And the thing is that the people don't know. If they knew how it worked, I sometimes wonder if they knew it was helping the artist directly, if they'd even get more people if they were transparent about it. It's like people will buy your CD. You're right. People will come and buy your CD. They don't even own a CD player, bro. They just want to support you. You got something they could sign. But hey, it's like, oh wow, like this is going to help a kid and support the artist. This is great. Let's do it. Right? It's like when you buy
good return on investment. The eternal.
It's like when you buy those Tom shoes or whatever, and it's like, oh, every pair you buy gives a pair of shoes to somebody in Africa or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, that's actually destroyed whole economies, but that's another story.
But yeah, well, we were asking ourselves when we were kind of discussing this a week or so ago, is it necessarily wrong to incentivize the support of kids? At the end of the day, if that support actually gets to where it's supposed to, lives are changed, kids, situation has changed in life, the gospel is shared. Is this an illegitimate presentation?
Well, that's the thing for me. It's like, getting the kickback is fine with me, but it's like, be real about it. Like I was approached to do it twice. First time I tried it, I felt really wrong. I'm going like, I'm not really I'm not passionate about this. I'm honestly just doing this for the money, but I'm saying I care about this.
Okay.
That don't feel good. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I just don't.
You wouldn't be saying that every artist that does it is doing it for the money. And
I can't say every artist, because like I know you've actually adopted kids, like in real life. you actually like, you've walked the walk, and I've heard you talk about it, I've heard you pitch it, and you've actually put your money where your mouth is, and you work with an organization that you also adopted real kids. You're kind of an exception. I feel like you would do it without the kickback either way. Now that's fine, right?
Sure. Sure.
If World Vision said, hey man, we can't do kickbacks anymore, I think you'd go, that's all good, man. No problem. Got you.
I'm with Holt International, and I will say, I'm going to show just a quick segment about this, and I wanted to respond to what it was that you were saying. Hey guys, you may have never heard of an organization called Holt International. Well, that's okay, because at one point, I'd never heard of them either. I quickly learned that they were a child advocacy program, much like Compassion or World Vision, and yet that never impressed me, because I've always wondered if sponsorship money ever really does get to the kids that are advertised. But I did a little research about Holt, and I found out that they had been around since the 1950s, and that they were actually pioneers in the realm of international adoption. This group is impressive, and they're actually unique. I began to realize that like our family, Holt was actually giving other families the life-giving opportunity, not only to sponsor children and strengthen families, but also to adopt. Yes, adopt. That made all the difference in my confidence concerning who they were. It became even more personal when recently I took a trip to visit some of the kids that I advocate for. You see, for me, I know what they have done, and I know what they do. I'll stop it there. Just to simply say that to your point, Tom, when I was approached, and I won't tell you who approached me, and they said, hey, you would be great at doing this. Like, you got a great stage presentation, and I think you could really do a good pitch here. I'm like, I'm not interested. Not interested. Thank you. Goodbye. We don't need any more, doors or windows at our house. The shingles are fine on the house. Okay, move along. And it was just kind of like, but the adoption part of that was, we have actually adopted and been blessed by that. And we want to have other families have the opportunity. One of the greatest things that happens is, from time to time, there will be people who see my banner, and a kid or parents will come up to me and they'll say, I was adopted through Holt International. And I do love those opportunities to be able to do that, to share that. And so here's the only part where I would maybe push back to you a little bit and say, I think there are more artists who actually are personally involved in, and it means something to them, then maybe I think you get
totally
credit.
And again, understand. I think I get misunderstood, because I'm not saying that there's any problem with the charities. I'm not even saying that there's necessarily a problem with people getting the kickback. What the problem is there's half truths, not total truths. There's the lack of transparency on exactly what's happening, and that's the thing that does bug me. Again, if we were talking about, like, we were all punk rock secular artists, you know what I mean? This whole industry, and it's like, dude, shady stuff is just part of the way the world works. Cool, but hey, we're not supposed to be of the world, right?
Sure.
It's the Christian world, so there should be transparency, honesty, and like you, right? You just showed a video. You're partying with those kids. You went there.
Yeah.
Mike Weaver,
the Visalia School in Bangalore, India.
Yeah,
I know what they're doing personally.
Mike
right
Weaver flew across the world to go and meet, these kids and stuff, and it's like, I know that, okay, real heart for that, totally. But beyond that, it's like, they'll show the video, they'll have someone come up there, and again, they use tactics that can be considered manipulative, sales tactics, which sales is manipulation. It just is. But at the end of the day, my biggest thing is, like, when people read the news, this article, and they read, you go to that website, you can read the whole lawsuit, and what you see is, the numbers they're talking about. It even says that right there in the lawsuit, that $200 to $500 per child kickback is what's given, and people are like, I don't understand what that means. It's like, here's what it means, is that sometimes when you go to these shows and someone's giving you this story, like, I one time sat there and I was writhing in my chair because there's just no way. And then later on, it was funny how I realized, hey, I think you're a liar. Is I gave this whole appeal about how, like, me and my wife, we were like, how can we impact more kids? So we canceled we canceled our Netflix so that we could pay for this, and we canceled our cable and all this stuff. And it's like, wow, okay, like, and I realize what that is that's one of those things of that, it's follow the leader. It's planting a seed in someone's head going, oh, I could probably cancel something. Yeah, okay. It's just what that does. I mean, it's a sales tactic, so you tell people like, look, I gave up coffee, bro. You know what I mean? You should give up coffee too. I'm not saying you should, but hey, it's right there on the table, and they go, all right, it's manipulation. And the funny part is, like, a week or two later, I'm on Facebook, and, the person who gave the presentation had posted, like, they're watching this popular show, and what's it on, bro? It's on Netflix. Whoa! I've also seen the same thing with the whole. I've also seen that whole thing with the whole cancel Netflix nonsense. Cancel Netflix. You're evil.
No, I've totally uncovered this mystery. I'm Sherlock Holmes. Netflix looked upon their heart of charity, and they said, you know what, brother, we'll just give Netflix to you for free because you sponsor the children. And that's why they still had Netflix. They wanted to cancel it. They're not paying for it anymore. Anyway, that's a grand conspiracy.
Yeah.
But
I just think the transparency wasn't there. And again, seeing how many people were shocked by that. So, of course, I posted about it. Okay, now it's out there in the open. So now I'm going to explain what's been happening. And here's the thing. The same type of thing goes on in your own churches. The same tactics that are used. The emotional, like, just the emotional manipulation. Dude, pay attention. It's become the business model of the church. It's become the business model of CCM artists. It's become this. And, like, dude, like, we're supposed to be above that. And, if we're not going to be above that, dude, go be a Christian that plays country music and go partake, because people expect it.
Yeah.
Like, when people go see a rock and roll show, they fully expect to find out they were backstage with a bunch of strippers or whatever, or groupies. That's not a shock. But Christian world, if you find out, oh, they're in the back having a beer, like, yes, they are. But, oh, can't tell anyone that. Oh, no, heaven forbid we act like real people. And, it's great to the opportunity, but did you know that was benefiting the artist too? And if you did, dude, awesome. It's amazing. Like, do it. That's the thing. I think if the transparency was there, the pitches could be different. And I also think they would be more successful if they knew, because people don't want your t-shirt and they don't want to just throw down a 20 for no reason, right? They don't, so it's like, hey, here's a way that you can support me and support this amazing thing.
My promoter and friend down in Texas, Sean Burgess, asked, is it sales education? A lot of that is the dark side of manipulation. And, we've talked about some organizations that I have some questions about.
That's like saying, hey, is it a mugging and an assault, or is it fight training? Come on. Education is something you sign up for, not something you get victimized by and go, whoa, I just learned something. Come on.
The part that I
respect.
The part that I've responded to, and I thought, a pox on both houses, is those in whom, when we were having this conversation, would say, well, if I would have known that, I wouldn't have reached in my pocket and sponsored a child.
And there's
I think that's equally as egregious to say, well, you weren't really doing it because of the kids. You were doing it because of the sales tactic or the manipulation, but the kids were somewhere in the periphery, but you responded to the tactics that were there. If you would have known that it was just about the kids, I don't know if I would have done that.
Well, you got to understand what they're saying when they say that. It's like, for argument's sake, right? It's like, if somebody comes up to you and it's like, hey, man, I got no gas to get home, and I don't know how, my kids are waiting for me. Can you give me some money to get gas, please? Emotional plea, right? Oh, and you go, all right, man, here you go. And you watch them run around the corner and go buy some meth. Aren't you like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have given him that had I known what his motives really were. And that's what I think if people are looking at is, when people see emotional plea, it's like, is this real, or is there potential for this to be something it's not? And that's what it is. It's,
Yeah.
now that emotional plea, I mean, look, I'm single now, and it's like, do you know how many women I literally have a conversation with, and I literally see what they want to do is they're just like, I really like you. Meanwhile, they're like, I think you might have money is what they're really trying to say. First time you tell them you're not paying for something or buying something, they ghost you. It's no different, man. People just want transparency. They deserve transparency. And that's what they're trying to say. Is like, man, that actually bothers me that I didn't know that. And had I known that, and to be honest with you, they're saying that now because they feel misled. In the moment, completely different story. I mean, how many people, it's like buyer's remorse. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, in hindsight's always 20/20. So I don't think you put too much stock in that, but it is enough to know that it does bother people that they had zero idea. And I have seen people that say things like, oh, well, you get these people who are like, they'll defend everything in a way that, I mean, again, I understand there's ways to defend this that sound good, such as like, well, we did say they sponsor the tour. Yeah. When people think sponsor, they think they wrote you a check. Here you go. Hope this covers some bills. Thanks, man. That's what they're not thinking there's an incentive situation.
Yeah, I asked for that one time, and they kind of looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, "Who you?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm doing some festivals and this and that." And they were like, "Who you?" My numbers weren't high enough. But that's a whole different story. And I do appreciate you giving another perspective on that. I'm thinking through that, and I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, I guess the sense of being misled is itself a bit of a wound. I just wish that there was more things that legitimately, like the pipeline of this comes from here and goes to here. And like when we're putting the sponsors packets in, like this goes to here, we're praying over the packets. Somebody's going to receive this. Like, I just wish there was a clearer pipeline. Like, and what you're saying, and I guess I would have to just try this out and just see, because I think you might probably be right, is if all was on the table and it was just full transparency, here it is, no manipulation, here's the kids, here's the opportunity, do what you want to with that, you would make more money.
Like, okay, like let's say your kickback's $200 a kid. I don't know. It depends.
Mine is $100.
Okay, so that means you go through a middleman. You go through a middleman who's connected to the bigger operation. He's actually probably making 100 to 150 on top of you.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
I'm at the bottom of the barrel,
and that's, hey, look, that's fine. That's business. That's no problem.
I just want people to know that they can adopt kids. And
right.
And
now,
I don't
here's
do
the
the pitch
thing.
every time.
At that, if you were to play a show, and please try this, let me know how it goes. Say, listen, guys, with Holt, the way this works, if we get 5 kids sponsored tonight, $500 goes to my ministry, which will help cover expenses that I can go and play more shows, hopefully help more kids. And the more kids that get sponsored, the more they're going to help me. So, if you want to help me and help kids, this is here. Now, you were fully transparent. They know the deal. And when you say, I'd rather you do this than buy my CD, of course. And you could say that and they'll go, all right, cool, I'll do that. Now, I do want to say, I want to pause. ADHD. I saw Sean Burgess wrote, weightlifting, don't eat that sugar. Dude, I have like 8 grams of sugar a day, like nothing. Like, and I'm down 75 pounds. Like, thank you. I'm good.
We interrupt this just so we can flex a little bit in the show.
Again, my role here is to be like the loud, demonstrative guy. So I'm not trying to be rude to you, Sean. I'm just trying to be entertaining. So, little side note, we can edit that out in post, right?
This is a live show.
That's fine. We'll just edit it. We'll edit it later.
I love it. But I love the fact that you will speak your mind in an era where there's a lot of people who are worried about damage control. If I say this, if I say that, and you just kind of find yourself at a place in life, and people just need to know this about you and I. You found yourself at a place in life in which you've had a lot of things not go the way that you thought that they would go, and you not be where you thought you would be. And I was telling you this the other day. I actually appreciate where you're at now. because you've gone through enough things so that it helps me at least to realize if this guy didn't want to follow Jesus, if he wanted to have nothing to do with Jesus, he would have every worldly reason to say, man, I tried that out. That didn't work for me. I'm good. I'm doing something else. But it's still, you're kind of like, you're weighing these options of the fact that in your Christian music career, you have influenced people in ways that are eternal. And I think you bear that weight of saying, man, there's people who still come up to you and they say, man, when you sang that song or when you did this or when you did that, and even though that's not what the content that you're creating at this point, you still care about the fact that there's people who care about the fact that you helped them to not commit suicide because of a song that you sang.
Right.
And I think that's
and that's real because, like, first off, I'm to a point in life where, like, like a lot of, my wife abandoned me, I didn't give up on my marriage. She did. So it's like, whatever. I've had people betray me, and the people, it's like the people who've hurt me the most are the people doing Christianity the way that I see everyone else trying to do it. And there's a wake of bodies behind them. And it seems like I've always been this guy who, like, I'll stand up for myself. But it's always been at a cost, right? But I'm finally to a point in life where there ain't, like, I don't want to say I have nothing to lose, but there ain't nothing I'm willing to lose everything at this point, just because I'm not going to bear the weight of lies. I'm not going to bear the weight of, like, I'm not going to pretend to be someone or something I'm not. And yes, I'm cognizant of that fact. Like, dude, there's content that I would be amazing at that is total antithesis of everything that I built as Tom Golly Music. And, I'm even right now, I'm in the kind of the recipe writing session of coming up with a whole new music project that is not Christian at all. And, there's maybe even some explicit lyrics or whatever you want, whatever it is, whatever's
It's not anti-Christian though.
No, not at all. Cause I'm still a believer, but here's the thing. My walk and the way that I will follow Jesus ain't going to look like anyone else's, because I believe, this is what I truly believe. And someone called me psychotic for this. I truly, truly, truly believe that, I have seen things and I have discernment others don't. And I'm going to trust that God has given me gifts that to discern, to see, to look at it and go, that's not for me. I'm going to go this way. And because when I tried it, like, I mean this respectfully, when I tried it your way, which to me is your way is the,
you talking about me?
But yeah, like, I mean, your way, meaning like the common way everyone else, they go to church, they do small group, they do, you know what I mean? All the things that you would,
that's not just my way, by the way.
Check for, like, this is what a Christian does. A follower of Jesus does this. This is, yeah.
That's not just my way.
Right. But you know what I mean? Well, that's what I mean is saying. Your way is like, if you and every other Christian does Kung Fu, what I'm saying is I've tried Kung Fu and it got my legs broken. So now I'm doing Krav Maga, a little bit of MMA, and man, that's actually working for me. I'm actually finding healing and peace and really finding God's provision this way. And it feels more authentic and real. And like, I hear his voice better than I have ever heard. And like, dude, my life is so rough around the edges and so not like, like, honestly, like, I'm not saying that like I'm the worst guy in the world or anything like that. But yeah, there's things I partake in these days that like, or have, that people would be like, you're not a Christian. It's like, yeah, I am actually. I'm on a journey, bro. And I'm sorry, but like, sometimes the best way out is through. And that's where I'm at right now. And that's okay. That's my journey.
I have a very wise audience and they will understand. And for all of us, this interview with Erskin 5 years ago will be different than it is today. This interview with Tom Golly 5 years from now will be different than it is in 5 years. And we're on a journey and we're pointing in a particular direction that is important and I believe faithful. Oh, I didn't take him off of there. I did not do that.
Neither did I. I don't know. We got. Uh-oh. The Lord was like, get him out of here.
struck down.
No,
He
I want to
overcame.
respond to the comment here, Sean. He said, everyone has a different opinion of what transparency is or should be and what they want to know in transparency. Okay, wrong. This wall behind me is not transparent. Someone can go, yeah, it is, man. It's transparent because that's how no.
Oh,
if it was
sorry.
a clear crystal, you could see what's on the other side of it. That is transparent. Transparent means you see it all. If it's tinted, it's not transparent anymore. It is tinted. It's masked. You know what I mean? No, transparent. You know, that's like saying everyone has a different meaning of what the sky is. No, dude, the sky is above us. It's blue. It has clouds. Come on, man. See, this is the kind of thing I love you, dude, but this is the kind of thing that bugs me with Christianity is we make up shit. Sorry, but we make up shit to try to win arguments, try to prove our point.
Let me know when I need to beep some words out here.
Sorry, I just it bugs me. Like all due respect, Sean, you seem like a good dude, and we'd probably be friends. But like, come on, you're making something up to try to like just to win, bro. Just admit, like, yo, you're right. There's something wrong, and we need to fix it. Not well, everyone. See, you're looking for the gray area. Now, here's the thing: the gray areas of the world. I have no problem with the gray area, except in Christianity, the gray area is not where we're supposed to be. We're either on one side or the other. It's holy or it's not. There's no gray area. And that's the thing. We constantly invent gray area in the kingdom and call it holy. We cannot do that. That's wrong. And
hang on. And Sean, he's a grown man. I'm not going to say the word, but he's a grown man and he can respond to himself. But I even think to myself, okay, so what is the threshold? Tom, if I am on the show and I start confessing this sin of mine, it's kind of like Jerry Bridges' book, Respectable Sins. If it's tax evasion and I'm like, guys, I feel really bad about this. This is not true, but I feel really bad that I, cooked the books a little bit. I added a couple of extra miles so I could get some deductions and everything, hard times and everything. People would say, man, that's a sin. It is a sin, but it's not looked upon the same way that if I came out and I said, you know what, child pornography, and it's all over my computer. And when I went to go take it in and got discovered, and so I'm just coming out and sharing, there's going to be a different response level to that transparency. And I know you could sit back and you could say, hey, they're both true. And so the truth be the truth. But people's response to it, and then what that would ultimately do to my entire career in ministry is different than if I said, hey guys, I'm getting some financial counseling. I'm, with my pastor in my heart, and I want to make sure that my books are clear this year. That's a totally different response. One, I believe, disqualifies you from ministry. One means you need to take a step back in ministry. But do you know what I'm saying there? So I think that Sean may be, I'll let him speak for himself, but he may be hinting at the fact that with transparency, there comes some responsibility. If I'm beating my wife, which none of that is true, that's not happening, and that level of transparency comes out, that's different than, I ran a red light.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Now here's the thing with what you just said though, right? So what you just described is, operate in the gray area of, what you just said, cooking the books, like I'm in the gray area. Some people would be like, no, it's fine, right? And other people would be like, yeah, man, you can't, because now here's the thing. What I just said is in the kingdom of God, there's either, it's either holy, unholy, sin, no sin. There's no gray area acceptable, right? Now, you and I both know as a human, the gray area seems to be where we're all really comfortable. And I do think that the gray area people who do operate in the gray in their walk and they're trying to get to the holy side, some grace is given, in that process. But what you just talked about is exactly, it's like, well, the Bible says, let what Caesar's be Caesar's. So therefore that's black and white,
it's sin. It's sin for sure.
Right. Now, but again, arguments could be made of like the people who are like, well, there's legalities, there's legal loopholes, things that are on the books to help you, keep more of what you got. And that's cool because in my book, Caesar, government, made it possible, made these loopholes real for you that are there. If you took advantage of them, cool. Because the Caesar is saying, yes, here's how it works. Do it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like whatever. And I mean, the thing for me is just that the transparency is super important. And I think just with ministries, if you're going to act like an authority, you know what I mean? If you're going to be an authority in this as a ministry, as, someone who stands on stage and you're like, but whether you want to or not, and that's the thing that I always struggle with. I didn't want to be an authority when I'm up there, but realizing that people are going to see me as that, I have to own that. And, and I did everything I could to do it, but realized like, I do operate in the gray area. I don't know that I belong up here anymore,
Yeah.
and and I think that that's the point. It's like, well, that's the point. But then there's also the other side of the coin is, well, actually, maybe I do belong up here because I'm not up here even saying I'm an authority. I'm up here saying, hey, I'm probably worse than you, man. I'm on a journey, and here's what I'm learning. Here's what I know. Here's how I fail. And that's what kept me going the last few years of doing this was I would, you never knew what was going to come out of my mouth when I was up there. And most of the time I'd be basically telling people how much I suck and what God's showing me in that. And, that always got great responses and seemed to help people. But again, the issue for me is we're not seeing a lot of that. And we're seeing a lot of manipulation happen. We're seeing a lot of, just a lot of things that I just think are crazy. I mean, even you and I have talked about it. Where like you talked about a lot of the way that a lot of mega churches are operating now. Like they're playing games with your mind, all in the name of butts in the seats and more money in the basket. And dude, there's just something wrong. And it's like, what's gonna change? And I think the only thing that's gonna change is people like me and people like you who are willing to even talk about it. And I know you have opinions and maybe you shared them on the show other times. Maybe you do. Maybe you just decide I got different ways I do it. But I just
live louder with Erskin. It's just my show.
Yeah. I think people just need to zoom out a little bit and take a good look at what's going on and realize like there is something wrong and let's stop like pretending there isn't. Otherwise we're no worse off than the newsboys where they turned a blind eye. They operated in the gray and people got hurt. People got victimized. A woman allegedly got drugged. There's video of it. Like people get hurt when people in leadership are not transparent. They're not held accountable and they're allowed to operate in the gray area. And what do? We just sit, the fans, the fans just, you know what? They just keep tuning in. They keep buying the merch. They keep joining the Patreons.
You'll appreciate this discussion because it's one that, I'm keen to have in as many different ways as I can with different guests. Mike Donahue will be on the show, Lord willing, next week. And we're going to be kind of talking about those gray areas and kind of where does confession exist? Obviously, it's biblical. It's all throughout the Psalms, but it doesn't exist very much in presentational ministry. Like if you come out and you confess, hey guys, I'm going to preach a sermon today, but I haven't even read my Bible this week. Your authority automatically dips down to zero. There are certain things in presentational ministry, and I'll say that either pastoral ministry or I believe standing on the stage or a worship leader or those kind of things that would automatically disqualify you from that. And yet we need space to be able to work through these things. But that's the last place that space is provided because there's an expectation. And Jimmy Needham used to say this to me when I was getting started in my music career. The stage is the most dangerous place for a human heart because there are so many things that are assumed about people who are on stage that may not at all be true about that person. And when you start believing what people are telling you about yourself in your performance on stage to be you and the real you, then that's a dangerous zone for you to be in. And so, somebody tells me something that bless them, praise the Lord, thank you. I kind of don't believe that you're saying what you're saying, but if the Lord used that to bless your life, then cool. Because how amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost and now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. And I live at that level of thank you for the compliments. I'm going to be humble. I'm going to be hungry. I'm excited to do what it is that I'm doing. I have fun doing what it is that I'm doing, but I know me better than you do. And I wish that everything was as you see and think that you see it.
You're did you mean to trigger another rant? Because there's one coming.
No, we got it. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go.
I just want to say one thing and I won't dive in deep.
Yeah.
But here's always been a problem with Amazing Grace to me. If you're made in God's image, right? If God made you to be who you are, the way you are, right? You gave you your gifts, gave you your talents, gave you all these things. You're also saying he made you a piece of garbage. He made you a wretch.
Well, I'm saying in Psalm 51, we're born in sin and we're shaped in iniquity.
You can't be, I just don't know. I don't know that I believe that.
Okay. There's plenty of people who don't, but I believe the Bible points us to the fact that we have a sin nature in Genesis chapter 3.
Is it the Bible or is it the interpretation of the Bible that wants you to believe you're less than and you need the church in order to be holy and be more like God intended? But God doesn't make mistakes, right? So how are you born in iniquity if Jesus already died for all of it? You're not.
So on this one, I think that we're at least in good company. If I have to resort to people who are much smarter than myself and all of the things, I can't not read in Genesis chapter 3 where the fall affects us.
But are they?
Well,
they're
I
probably
cannot
not smarter than a fifth grader.
I cannot not read in Genesis chapter 3 how the fall affects us totally. On the day that you shall eat the fruit, you will surely die. And so we can interpret that spiritual death in a number of different ways, but I think consistently.
But how are you still born in iniquity if Jesus already died on the cross and abolished it all?
Well, in Psalm 51, we're still awaiting the Messiah. And so that's just a reflection of what I believe to be the sin nature that is there from Genesis chapter 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. And obviously, there's a larger discussion that can be had about that.
Any chance Jesus already came back in the time of Nero? And but you know what? We've been deceived into believing that we are not in the new heaven and new earth. Just wondering. Not
Jesus
that I
came back
believe
in the time
that,
of
but I know the people do
Archelaus.
believe that.
Or Jesus was here. Yeah, what was the point there that you were trying to make?
If you ever look it up for anyone you watching, it's interesting. I sat through 2 whole teachings on this. It's called fulfilled covenant eschatology, and it's the concept that all of these prophecies, all of these things that Jesus said would happen prior to his second coming have happened, and the like Nero was marking people, with brands. That looked like 666. So they're basically saying like, okay, well here, then the second coming. And he also, if you take it in context, he told the apostles, they asked him, when will all this come to pass? And he basically said, in your lifetime. Now, I don't think any of them are still alive today.
Yeah, that's a totally different show though. I mean, that's new millennialism.
I know.
That's preterism, full preterism or partial preterism.
This thing, you know what I mean? That's what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying, see a gold digger. Oh, sorry.
But no, I would just say, if you want to have that broadcast, bring your Bible, bring chapter and verse, because I don't want to have a sidebar conversation about that without chapter and verse and actually looking at some of the things. And so I'm glad you got the 2-day seminar in. But if you're gonna come on Live Louder with Erskin, you better bring chapter and verse, my friend.
Well, hey, I'm not trying to proselytize any of that. I'm just telling you because I love learning stuff, and it's interesting take. And here's the thing, whether you believe in the fulfilled covenant eschatology or you're still waiting for Jesus to come back, then I don't think it affects your salvation one way or the other, really. Either you believe that you're in the kingdom now or the kingdom is coming. What's the difference?
I think that in general, the belief that Jesus is going to return in bodily fashion is our confessional. Great discussion today. But wait, were you going to contend with that last point? Bodily return of Jesus?
No. It's just, again, I've heard a lot of the logic and the stories, and I think that what popped into mind is just literally how, as long as I've been a Christian, I've heard we're in the last days. Revival's around the corner. Jesus is coming back, and he's coming back soon. And like, man, people have been saying that for decades. And and again, to me,
2,000 years, in fact.
sure, but then you got to look at like, okay, let's look at the timeline of like, and this has been disputed, not necessarily debunked, but like the whole rapture theory really started coming around during like during the Billy Graham crusades.
Yeah, Charles Rowley.
And again, we want to talk about psychology. I think about this. When you're a kid, what is the scariest thing your mom could say when you're misbehaving? Daddy's coming home. Oh no. It's the psychology of daddy's coming home. You better get right. You better act right. You better do this. You better not pout. You better not cry. You better not shout. I value why Jesus is coming back. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, like interesting. Santa Claus is coming. Oh no! Like, I mean, people freak out, and it's like I just see a lot of control being used with that psychology. That's all.
Young Padawan, that is the soundbite. You better not pout. Jesus is coming to town.
I mean, again, for me, just breaking down a psychology of common beliefs and how it's pushed on people, you gotta, and what's funny is this: when you use logic and reason and it makes sense, you know what people say? The devil is logical. God is illogical, and we know this. Like, oh my God, so you're saying it doesn't make sense, so it must be God because only the devil uses logic. Like,
yeah. Well,
like, dude,
all of these things we can discuss.
I'm just so sick of manipulation, and that's what everything seems like. Call me psychotic. Call me what you want, bro. I feel like I have the they live glasses on, and I could see what's really there.
No. I think that they, and this is just a general question for the audience and for everybody that's out there, yourself included, but how do we process? The Bible is 66 books, written over 1,500 years by over 40 plus authors. And so how do we process the tension points in the Bible? Because when we come to the Bible, we already have a marred lens because we're living in a particular time and place with circumstances and context around us. We often read that into the Bible instead of letting the Bible speak for itself and then applying that to our lives. And so there are a lot of tension points that we would look at and we would sometimes say, well, that's an apparent contradiction. How is the kingdom already here, but yet it's not come yet? Like, how do we tie together those kind of tensions and those kind of things? How is God sovereign, but we have free will? And, there's a lot of different things that we could bring out in the context of a conversation. But yeah, that's whole nother thing. We should do a podcast series together on this subject matter. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And just for the record too, I just want to tie this in. I'm not saying I'm right. And I know it sounds like, because I'm like pretty convicted. I'm not. Okay. Actually, I think I'm right, but I am not trying to convince anyone that I am. I hope that makes sense. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean?
Like, that.
Don't listen to me. Now, if anything I do say makes you go, that is interesting, and you dig deep and you find something totally different, cool. Dismiss what I got to say. All good. But
Sure.
if you do find, if I'm telling you there's smoke and you find some fire, like, cool. I hope that works. If not, dude, like, don't follow me. I mean, my life is, my life has been a beautiful up and down. And honestly, like, God has been showing me so much about me in the last, I'd say in the last like year and a half. I mean, I almost died. And now I'm in this journey of like, okay, I feel like I'm on borrowed time.
Praise the Lord.
And it's like, not borrowed time, but I feel like, again, I've been like Lazarus resurrected. And it's like, here I am. And I'm like, I have a willingness to speak where for 3 years I didn't. Now I have a willingness to speak about what I see, what I know, and question things more than ever, because I have nothing to lose by doing so. And maybe that's what God has really called me to do.
Well,
so
it is a
we'll
season in life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
for sure. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. I'm not trying to rush you off, but I do have to get to the next things and get some editing done and all the things from Live Louder Show.
You got to edit out the curse word. Sorry about that.
We probably won't use that section, but the rest of it was good.
Cool. Well, I mean, it's nice because, I mean, when you and I talk on the phone, there's other words I use too, and I'm grateful that those are recorded. But
yes,
I do understand there's a time and place, and I do apologize for anyone who was offended. But I don't believe in bad language. I don't think there's such a thing. I think there's a bad time and place for certain words, and but I don't think God's sitting up there going, oh, why didn't he say poop? That's not real.
A totally different show, but we rock out on a lot of different topics. But I wanted us to keep it, kind of newsboys, lawsuit, Christian music industry, and more today. Obviously, our lives are not just that story; it spills out in a lot of different areas, and I think people really appreciate that. My audience, I should say, that watches this and pays attention to this is a very keen audience, and they listen, but then they listen intently to what sometimes is not being said and pray for the show. And so you didn't have to apologize for anything. You didn't have to do any disclaimers whatsoever or not listen to you.
I apologize for absolutely nothing, okay?
Yes, that's what you should say. I apologize for nothing.
What are you going to do?
This is who I am on this day.
This is who I am. And
help out my unbelief and continue to conform me to the image of Christ. That's all. That's what we say each day. But thank you so much, brother. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.
All right. Young Padawan, that's one for the ages.
Good show.
It was a good show. And with that, we out of here. You want to do Soul Train to get out of here? Or you want to do basketball?
Let's do basketball.
All right, folks. It's the Live Louder Show. That was Tom Golly today. Great conversation. All of that. You got about 4 or 5 episodes in one today, so don't say we never gave you anything on this show. God bless you. We'll see you soon.
I'm on go mode, no sleep, chasing what they said I couldn't reach.